Welcome, tea family. As you can tell by our new little countdown, we are trying out some of the new tricks on this new software that we've been using. But I am super excited about today because I am really excited about this Winter's Kiss Sangria. So let me say welcome, tea family, and then we are going to get right into it. So for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. And here's how we do it. We like when people go ahead and they say hello and let us know what they're drinking that night, usually what kind of tea, but we have people that are sometimes drinks things other than tea. In addition, you can just put it in the chat or in the comments, depending on whatever type of platform you're watching us on. And I see that someone said hello to Diane. So welcome, Diane. And I'm going to say a little in advance, Happy New Year. We're almost at 2025. I hope you all had a great week. For those that you have celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or any of the holidays that we've had this past week, I know we're kind of chill back here and just did some relaxing stuff. I did want to start off with that. And yes, this is why we have this right now. And because it's almost New Year's. And so I wanted to welcome everybody. And we are going to be making a Winter's Kiss Sangria mocktail. It's fruity, it's fizzy, and it's festive. There you go. There's your alliteration for the day. Diane was drinking morning Irish tea. That is always a good one. I did not. I stuck with Serene Sunrise for my favorite this morning. Now, I want to talk about this sangria. It is so good. Andy Dandy assistant completely threw me off. He had Ancient Green Dragon this morning or this afternoon. So, this mocktail though, this is going to become a holiday and get together favorite. Once I started playing with it, I really love this one. So I wanted to also say before I forget, if you have a question, put it in the chat, put it in the comments. I love to answer those questions and it's always helpful. Now, before we jump into this, I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that we're running out of time to start our tea with a mystery subscription. That will actually start the beginning of January. So you're going to want to sign up by the 31st so you don't miss an episode. I am super excited about this one going out. And you'll, in the story, somewhere in the story is a blend of tea is consumed or mentioned, and that is the tea that you will get. But also in January, we have a special little something going in the package as well for you as a thank you for joining the subscription service. So I want to remind everybody about that because you are really running out of time. Tuesday's the last day so that we can make sure you get all the episodes. Those will come out to you once a month. Okay. I will tell you, I just reread the first chapter and I'm like, I forget what happens next, which is kind of funny. But if you consider it took me a couple of years to write this, it's not so funny. It's more understandable. Okay, and then VIPs. Starting tomorrow, Winter's Kiss will be available to you. For everybody else, it will not be available until next Monday, which if I've counted my days right, no, January 5th. It'll be available January 5th for everyone else, but starting tomorrow through January 1st, VIPs will be able to order Winter's Kiss, which is going to be the highlight of the day today. I am so excited about this one. All right, so let's go ahead and dig right in. You would like to double check. So we have start. I'm going to start off with a question. Diane wants to double check that Mocha Mint is not caffeine free. Mocha Mint is technically considered caffeine free. The only caffeine in there comes from the mocha itself, the cacao. So I can't say it's 100% caffeine free, but there's no tea in it to add caffeine to it. It's just peppermint and the cacao. So hopefully that will answer your question. All right. Now we are going to get to it. I am going to take this out of the way. It's very distracting. but we are going to get started. So let's talk about what's going to make this mocktail really so special. And that is our star of the show. Now, you should be able to see if my lighting is right. Yes, we are in a new area to set up. This should be a fairly permanent area. There we are. But this is Winter's Kiss tea. This is a balance of green tea from Japan. It has freeze-dried strawberries in it. It has let's see, some orange zest. It also has cinnamon and just a few little rose petals in there. It is really what we consider our Valentine tea, but it is available January, February, and March only. This is a limited edition tea. It is only available during those 3 months, or if you buy like our Advent tin where we have the 24 different ones. So hopefully that will help you. Now we're going to add some things to this, and we're going to make our sangria. And I have a couple of things to talk about that. So we are not going to be using this, but you could, where we are going to use a ginger ale today, you could use a sparkling cider or a sparkling juice in there, absolutely, to make it fizzy. I just like the ginger ale. I love how the ginger plays with some of the flavors. However, I don't want you to not make it because you're like, well, I don't really like those ginger ale that much. You can use a sparkling cider or a sparkling ginger ale, whatever you would like to do. And then in the comments, let me know what is your absolute favorite fruit to include in a sangria. Okay? Now, while you do that, I'll be looking up in the comments in a section. We are going to start making it. And what you'll notice here is I have a plastic container. And this is, I want to say, a 1 quart. Looks like about a quart. Might be 2 quarts. Not sure anymore. We got it because I like this one because it's easy to handle. It has a great pouring spout. So we are going to go ahead, and this is the Winter's Kiss tea. So this is the tea that we made from earlier. This is a green tea. So this has about 1.5 cups in it. What you would want to do is if you were making a 1/2 gallon of this punch, you would want to make 3 cups of it. And that makes it handy because you can brew that same teaspoon, that same 2.5 grams 3 times. So literally you're going to just use 1. Now, obviously, if you want more, you could add more. The other thing I would say is when you make this Winter Kiss tea, make extra. Pour it in some ice cubes. Handy Danny assistant forgot to grab the ice cube. I will find it. I'm here. And put some ice cubes. Make ice cubes out of the tea. That way you are going to really be able to enjoy that tea flavor all the way through. It's not going to water down at all. The other thing to consider is one of the ingredients we're going to be adding are some strawberries. You hear the ice going in the background probably. This is also an okay time to go ahead and use frozen strawberries. If you purchased strawberries earlier in the year and you go ahead and put them in the freezer, whatever, you can always buy them at the grocery store too. But we're going to start with a little bit of ice in the bottom. We're going to put our 1.5 cups of cooled Winter's Kiss tea. This is the scariest part because we're downstairs, and so there's not a lot of towels or paper towels or kitchen stuff anywhere. Okay, so there's 1.5 cups of that, and just like I was talking about, we're going to add some strawberries, and we're going to try and do this without putting our hands all over them. And so right there, I'm already excited about trying some. I will need to wash down my desk later. Okay, now the next thing we are going to add, because what is a sangria without fruit? All right, put this tea over here. And what we're going to just slice up some lemons. Now, some have already been done, but you know, it's one of those things that we don't want to really use a lot of lemon juice in this one, although you could add lime. I'm not going to be. These are actually lemons that were picked off of our tree. We went ahead and we got them all, and then all I'm doing here is wedging them. You could cut them so that they're a circle if you like the effect. I like the wedges. I feel like more of the lemon essence is going to get into the sangria. All right, now we have lemon, which is going to balance with the Winter's Kiss really, really well. You've got orange zest in there, and lemon is another citrus, which is why you could also use the limes. Now, I like to make my oranges and my lemons different. So all I did was cut some wedges, and we're just going to kind of cut them into small pieces, and we're going to drop orange in there. This is going to bring out the orange flavor, which really balances with everything else. And what kind of sangria would it be if we didn't have a lot of fresh fruit? And again, I'm waiting to see in the comments, what is your favorite fruit to add to a sangria or a punch? And let me add just a little bit more. All right. It's always crazy when you go into the grocery store in between Christmas and New Year's and you're trying to buy all the fruit and everybody's buying other things for all of the parties that they're going to be going to or they're recovering from. And I have to say, one of our favorite things to do on New Year's Eve is not necessarily stay up as late anymore. We're old, so that doesn't happen so much anymore. But what does happen is we always used to go and get with some friends and make a whole bunch of food during the day, lots of heavy snack type of things. And then at night, in the evening and afternoon, we would just literally play games. The kids would all play. Now, I am adding some cranberries in here. These are fresh cranberries. You know, if you don't like any of the ingredients, so for instance, if you are not a cranberry person, you don't have to put it in there. Okay, we are going to put about a half cup of orange juice. And then one of my favorite ingredients. Yep, we're putting more fruit in there because that's how we're rolling today. Let's see. Let me try and do it this way. I'm a little paranoid about just straight pouring from the big container. Now, I do have to shout out to the handy dandy assistant. Okay, well, it's just he and I. I can use my fingers. They're clean. He did all the fruit chopping except what you saw me do and a couple of pieces that I cut. Other than that, he got it all. All right. So this is apple. And for those of you that were wondering, of course, it's Macintosh apple. I don't know that we would really qualify anything else as an apple. Now, you have two choices. You could always go with a cranberry raspberry ginger ale. Again, you could go with a sparkling cider or a sparkling juice. We, on the other hand, are going to go a little more plain and simple with just a plain old-fashioned ginger ale. Now, the purpose is not to get this all over my desk area. What you've got, and imagine we've got the Winter's Kiss tea made into ice cubes. We've got more tea added, and then all we've done is add some fruit, orange juice, and then your choice of ginger ale, cranberry ginger ale, a sparkling juice, or a sparkling cider. And literally, it's that simple. Now, where did I put the top? There we go. I am going to just kind of gingerly shake it.
Ginger ale.
Oh! More because I want to move some of that fruit around. You'll notice I'm being very careful because I did already add the fizzy stuff. All right, pull this out of the way.
Set for 30, 45 minutes.
Now, you could make this up ahead of time and put everything in there except the sparkling ginger ale. You could also do soda water. If you do, the handy dandy assistant's going to go nowhere near it because he can't stand soda water. You could also just wait and add your ginger ale or your sparkling or your whatever's going to make it give it that fizz until right before. And if you don't want to give it a fizz, I would give it a little bit of apple juice or a little bit more tea, and you will be perfectly fine with that. But I would hold it and then add the fizz right before. Now, and all I did is I have a nice little winter snowflake with some fruit, and there we are. Now I'll be nice to my handy dandy assistant today and go ahead and pour one up for him as well. I didn't let him have any earlier.
Little grenadine on top or tequila sunrise.
Yep. And then the greatest thing is once you put your fruit in there, you can always add more tea. You can add more salute. And you can add whatever other drink and just add it up and reuse some of that fruit. But it's great if it sits in there for a little bit. Wow. Okay, first thing, do not be expecting, that is so good, a super huge fizz. As you notice, I only added 12 ounces of soda to it, of the ginger ale. If you add more, it'll be a little more fizzy, but it's not really all that fizzy, especially when I was just mixing it up. It is also, believe it or not overwhelmingly sweet. Really, you're not eating any of the fruit yet. The fruit hasn't sat in it. It would be sweeter if the fruit kind of sat in there and the juices started to come out. What you get is I get a burst of the ginger ale, followed by the Winter's Kiss tea with that green tea and the strawberries. I get a smoothness that's added to it, just kind of smoothing out all the flavors with the rose petals. I don't really, I get a sweetness, but not really a floral note very much. And then the citrus, just to give it that little zing. And believe me, this I could drink at any festive gathering. I probably wouldn't because that is still a lot of sugar for me, but this is just a really great way. We tossed in. Now you could also toss in citrus slices and more apple and strawberries. It's really kind of pick the fruits that you like, but this is where the ones that we picked are just so that you can really bring out the flavor of the tea. That they complement the flavors in the tea, but they also complement them enough that you're not missing out on the tea. You're not just drinking a bunch of fruit juice and, oh, I didn't even know there was any green tea in them. So make it in a big batch. I do recommend you let it sit for about an hour. Obviously, we don't do that when we're here. Let it kind of soak in and then add that whatever your sparkling element is right before serving. And that way that your fruit's going to also soak up the flavor. So those that, if you don't have the tiny little spot like we do, like so many sangrias, you get some pieces of fruit in your glass as well. And as you're eating it, you're really going to get that flavor of the tea mixed in with the fruit. And utterly delicious. That's kind of how we tested it, and it was the best. But I couldn't make it for you live as well as have it pre-made. So, anybody have questions about our Winter's Kiss Sangria? Now you'll notice, although I did use some fresh fruits, we could have used frozen fruits as well. If you're a pineapple lover, pineapple would really complement this well. One of the things that I do want to talk about is what could you eat this with or drink this with? And I would say almost anything. This, if you were going to have this as like a drink to go with foods at a meal, I would stick to chickens or I would go with fish. anything that's going to match well against the lighter flavor and the citrus notes to it, as well as the strawberry fruit notes. This would be really great if you had a charcuterie board that had a lot of like strawberries and berries and cheeses, especially like a goat cheese and heartier like whole wheat crackers. This would be perfect with that. So again, we used I think it's more than a quart. It might be 1.5 quarts, but my handy dandy assistant tells me it's only a quart. But we put 1.5 cups of Winter's Kiss tea in here. I had suggested you go ahead and use the other part of the Winter's Kiss tea to go ahead and make ice cubes. So you can put that in here as opposed to standard ice cubes at the bottom. Then we added about 1/4 cup, maybe a little over 1/4 cup of orange juice. We added all our fruits. We have lemons. We have fresh lemons just taken off our tree. We have oranges. We have cranberries, and we have Macintosh apples, of course. And then we added 12 ounces of, you could either do the ginger ale, a cranberry ginger ale. You could do a sparkling cider or a sparkling juice. And literally that's about it. Now you could add some lime, a tablespoon of lime juice, even just to give it a little bit more depth of flavor. Oh, and we added the strawberries. And those, again, those can be frozen strawberries because they'll help keep the drink cold while you're doing it. I did add some cranberries in there. I love the red flavor of the strawberries and the red cranberries because you've got kind of yellows and oranges and different colors like that. So if you have a charcuterie board, if you have with like fruits and cheeses and the meats, this would be a perfect complement to that. You could, yes, Stephanie, you could absolutely do a hard cider with this. It doesn't have to be. Now, I had the possibility of this one. This is a sparkling cider, only because some of us have to work tomorrow again. And my handy dandy assistant doesn't drink, but there's like any of those kind of hard ciders would really work. A hard apple juice of any kind would be perfect in this. And again, just to show you all, you could do it with a wide variety of foods. The other thing is, I would go with fishes. I would go with chicken, poultry.
You almost got fruit up your nose.
I did not almost get fruit up my nose, but let's see. The other thing that I would say is I'm going to step out of the typical box, like lighter things because of the green tea. It's really easy to pair with the chickens and the poultries and things like that. I would actually go with some dark chocolate covered pretzels or dark chocolate covered raspberries or strawberries to eat with this as well. It is supposed to be, Winter's Kiss was designed to be a tea for Valentine's Day, which meant we created it to really contrast well with chocolate and chocolate covered strawberries and different things like that. So you would go with anything that's a hard chocolate. So if you were doing a chocolate fondue, this would also be a great counterpart to that. I would stay towards the dark chocolates. And if you really wanted extra sugar, I would go to a semi-sweet chocolate, but I wouldn't go with like a milk chocolate. It's just going to be too much with the fruit and the sweetness of that chocolate. I love a good dark chocolate. That's pretty much what we typically drink as a nice dark chocolate. But you could do this with a chocolate chocolate fondue or even a cheese fondue where you've got the mix of everything from the Swiss cheeses to some of the more biting cheeses with a little bit of cheddar. And we are definitely a people that love to have the full 3-4 course Americanized style of fondue. I have had traditional fondue. I do love that as well, where you really only get the potato or the bread with the cheese. They don't have the dessert one. They don't do the they don't do all the accompaniments with apples and stuff, but like I would do this because I would take the apples and do a cheese fondue with this. It would be amazing.
Stephanie enjoys mango apple sparkling cider.
Mango apple. That could work. You've already got apple in there. Mango would just add one more kind of fruit flavor. If you did mango, I wouldn't add the lemon. I would do and I wouldn't add the cranberry so much. I would go more with the oranges and the mangoes, and then I would probably throw in some pineapple. That's how I would mix the fruit. So what is everybody's favorite fruit? I didn't see it come in. What's your favorite fruit to add to a punch or a sangria? Let me know in the comments. Okay. While I'm waiting for everybody to add it to the comments, I do also want to remind everybody a couple of things.
Strawberry ice cream.
Strawberry ice cream?
And punch.
In your punch? Oh, you mean a sherbet?
Okay.
Hey, I'm a fan of sherbet in my punch.
I've seen it.
I've seen it too, and it is a very New England thing to do, but I am not really a fan. Okay, who's a fan of sherbet in their punch and who's not a fan of sherbet in their punch? I'm just not a fan.
It floats.
It does float and it keeps it cool. I get it. It's just not my favorite thing. Not my favorite thing at all. All right, I do want to remind everybody that the mystery with the tea, if you haven't signed up already, it's going to be going out on January 2nd. Unless I've got a couple of people that are doing local delivery, in which case I will see them 1, 2, 3 on the 4th, and they'll get theirs on the 4th. The other thing is I'm going to want to talk about next week. Next week, Mark Down will be going live at 6 p.m. Central like we always do. I said mark it down, not bark it down.
I'm saying mark.
Because we are going to be talking about how to choose the perfect tea for every moment and mood. You know, there are times you get up and you're like, I'm not in the mood for this. I'm in the mood for something else. I want this. Or you're creating that moment. You've invited a friend over and you're going to have some tea and relax. Which teas are you going to choose in that moment? What are you going to pair with it? So we're going to kind of talk about that next week when we go live. All right. Any questions? That's the other thing. Feel free to ask the questions. It's a lot of fruit for me. All right. Well, I don't see anything coming up in the comments. So I will sign off. I wish you all a happy, happy new year. Oh, wait. Diane said.
Lemon sherbet in a bowl, not a punch.
Lemon sherbet in a bowl, not in a punch. Handy dandy assistant. See, I agree 100%. 100%, Diane. I don't know what's up with him. I don't know.
Lemon gelato. All
right. So I hope you all enjoy it. If you want the exact measurements again, you could watch the live again, but or just reach out. I hope everybody has a safe and wonderful new year. Please be careful on the roads. I know that's one of the reasons why when we would play cards and games, board games of all sorts with our friends, we would pack in from like noon that day and we'd have a big sleepover at somebody's house. The kids would all flop in the living room, stay up. The parents would typically not even realize it was New Year's until we actually would go out there and they'd be like, it's time, because we'd be playing. Like, wait, let's finish this turn first. But I want everybody to be really, really safe. Please be careful if you have to be out on the road on New Year's Eve to New Year's Day. Until next Sunday at 6, everybody keep enjoying your tea and enjoy your family and friends that you're seeing around this time of the year.
See you next year.
And we will see you next year. All right. Have a great one, everyone.